The best undeniable proof that we are in a housing bubble right now is home prices always mean revert. Let's take a walk through history and I'll show you what I'm referring to. We've got a chart that has home prices, building costs, population, and the interest rate on the 10-year Treasury bond, which is directly tied to mortgages. This chart starts at 1890 and goes to 2005. What's very interesting is you can see that no matter what happens, we got prices going up slightly, down slightly, but they always stay very consistent. From 1890 all the way till about 2000, home prices adjusted for inflation stayed very constant, and every time that they'd go down or up, they would always mean revert. That includes building costs going down, going up, going down, going up for long periods of time, going down for long periods of time. That includes the population of the United States growing from 63 million to 294 million. That includes interest rate cycles where they're going up and down and up and down. We had interest rates as high as 18% in the 1970s, and even with that, home prices still were close to the mean. And let's take this one step further to really think about what happened to the United States throughout this time frame. We had 2 world wars. We had a massive depression in the 1930s. We had almost hyperinflation in the 1970s. Our economy went from agriculture to manufacturing to service-based. And all of our population went from the cities and moved out to the suburbs. All of that happened. All those huge macroeconomic shifts and changes happened from this period to this period, and home prices always reverted back to the mean. Why is it, answering the question why, home prices always mean revert? It's actually pretty simple. Inflation drives wages and income. Sometimes it's in reverse order, but there's this relationship between the two. And wages and income drive home prices because you need income in order to buy a home. So in other words, inflation drives home prices. That's why home prices throughout history have always stayed consistent with the rate of inflation. And this mean reversion is something that's extremely predictable. Let's go to a quote here from the Dallas Fed going back to 2010. As gauged by an aggregate of housing indexes dating to 1890, real home prices rose 85% to their highest level in August 2006. They've since declined 33%, falling short of most predictions for a cumulative correction of at least 40%. In fact, home prices still must fall 23% if they are to revert to their long-term mean. Where were prices when the Dallas Fed said that in 2010? This chart that we have here goes to 2005. So if we remember correctly, home prices kept going up. Oh, I'm running out of room on my chart here. But then they came back down like this. And in 2010, they were approximately here. Remember in that quote, they said that home prices would most likely fall another 23% to revert back to their mean. This was 2010. As we know, home prices bottomed out in 2012. At what point? Right back to their historic mean. In 2019, prices have gone all the way back up to where they were in 2006, and in some areas they've gone a lot higher. In other areas they haven't gone up that high, but as an aggregate total in the United States, we're right back where we were in 2006. Well, maybe wages have gone up. Remember, wages equal home prices. Let's look at this chart going back to 2006. Editor, let's pull that up. And as you can see in this chart, wages since 2000 have actually decreased when you adjust for inflation. Well, maybe people have been saving a lot more because obviously you need savings in order to have a down payment to actually purchase a home. Well, let's look at the savings right now. And you'll see, looking at this chart from the Federal Reserve, that the savings rate in the United States right now in 2019 is the lowest that it has ever been. So we have real wages down, savings rate at all-time lows, but home prices, even adjusted for inflation, are at all-time highs. Let's take a more specific look across the United States of this discrepancy between wages and home prices to see where this problem is the worst. Let's dive into some charts, and keep in mind these charts aren't totally accurate because the prices don't adjust for the size of the homes, but you'll get the idea. New York, Boston, Los Angeles, Denver and Seattle, San Francisco, the western part of the United States, Northeast, we've got the South, but then there are places like Pittsburgh and the Midwest. And if you'll notice those last two charts, that's why I always suggest buying rental properties in these areas where the price to income ratios are actually not too bad. So if you're one of those people that believe that home prices will always be at these elevated levels, if not go higher when wages and income stay the same at this level, then you have to believe that at some point in the future, income will no longer be required to buy a home or to make mortgage payments. As far as my opinion, I think that you actually will need money, you will need wages, and you will need income always to buy a home and to make mortgage payments. Therefore, I can safely say that in the future, home prices will definitely mean revert. And if they do, that means that right now, we are 100% in a housing bubble. And for more facts and information on the housing bubble 2.0 that I promise you have never heard anywhere else, check out this content right here, and I will see you on the next video.